My name is Tasha Dougé, and I am a conceptual mixed media artist, and I'm leaning into performance art right now. I tell people that I am Haitian-infused, New York-born, representing the Bronx. I feel like people don't recognize how art is life and life is art. There's an art sector, but we can find art everywhere. I had done a photo exhibition and I had gone on a couple of trips to Haiti. I'm like, you know what, let me just gather some of these photos from everyone who's on the trip and picking which ones told a narrative from different perspectives for people to get a feel of what it means to be on that land. We were staying at an orphanage in the country, so it was just a way for me to reconnect with people that share the same bloodline and same lineage as me. We did get a chance to go to a carpentry shop, and they had taken bits of bicycles to create the motor. And I was just like, this is amazing. We were like, well, where are your rulers to help make things symmetrical? And he's like, what are you talking about? We just do this by eye. It just made me think about, as artists and as creatives, how much of our ingenuity are we leaning into and how much is dependent on the materials and the machinery that we have access to. I repurpose a lot of materials. So the glass, the mirror that you see in this work, I got from material for the arts that I shattered. I have chicken wire in my other piece. This land is our land, also known as Justice. That chicken wire was repurposed from material or from the arts. I have washboards from here that I've gotten from Craigslist. So a lot of the stuff in my studio I've gotten from Craigslist. So I think it's important that while we're creating, we're also not creating more waste. So finding ways to repurpose is something that's important to me as well. This piece here is called More Than a Hashtag. The world was getting inundated with a lot of these hashtags of people who had been killed by the police. Hashtags are used to quantify what's trending, and there really isn't anything trendy about Black death. There are fragments because when people are looking at the work, they can see themselves, because at any moment it could be any one of us. These heinous crimes are these moments where families become fragmented. The first time I started working on this piece particularly, this gentleman came in and he was just like, okay, what are you doing? So I was giving him the premise around a lot of the assailants go unknown and get to live life as normal while the families constantly get re-traumatized and re-triggered. And I was saying to him, a lot of people really just know of George Zimmerman. And he was like, who's that? And I looked at him I looked at him like this, because he was standing over me. And I was just like, you just proven my point. For one of the more infamous people who have killed an unarmed Black person, a boy, Trayvon Martin, for you to not even know his name, but he knew Trayvon's name, I was like, you see, you just proved my point. You proved my point. The person that is on the receiving end of the trauma shouldn't be the only person that's known in this conversation. And for Zimmerman, who had gotten the most notoriety, unfortunately, for you to still not even know his name, it just reminded me of this bubble that his whiteness allowed him to live in, where he didn't have to know, And I was just like, that kind of reinvigorated me to be like, okay, I need to get back to this process. This piece, she represents the essence of enslaved Africans and their descendants. I made her July 2016. I had just heard 45's Make America Great Again far too many times. Once again, our experience as Black people just being overlooked and undermined. You are where you are because of the infrastructure of slavery and capitalism and patriarchy. I was thinking well, how can I speak to that narrative in a way that is clear and speaks to the holistic formation of this country? I was like, well, the American flag to me is a global symbol of capitalism at its worst. But how do I make the American flag 100% Black? Our hair defies gravity. It's undeniable and very distinguishable. Okay, what can I use to replace the stars? And cotton was what made sense, being the fiber that really shifted the slavery trade altogether. I needed a crate to ship her to Germany because she was showing in this exhibition about racism and the inception of races. And I had found a Bronx artist who did wood carving. Ray is his name. He created this elaborate box for her. Now she has a place that is symbolic of a resting place worthy of ancestors. The garbage bag became a metaphor for how Black people are treated in America. You know, we're discarded, constantly overlooked. And then when I get to spaces and I reveal justice, it's kind of like, oh wow, like that's amazing. So it kind of just speaks to, she talks about the injustices, but she also gives us something to be proud of as far as like what we are, who we are, and what we can do. She feels light, but when you carry her in this embrace for long periods of time, you know, you feel the lactic acid start to build up. You feel like your arms start to get tight. My back starts to hurt. And it just makes me think about how the plight for justice is something that's taxing to the body, taxing to the soul. When I was making her, you know, I had these moments of where I just got a fraction, a minuscule glimpse of what our ancestors had to go through, because I pricked myself having to contort my body in all of these different ways to get to certain points. It was just overwhelming to be in that amount of pain and discomfort, but then also recognizing that I have choice in this matter and my ancestors did not. She's gone to protests, uprisings. She recently just went to the March on Washington, which was the 57th anniversary of Martin Luther King's march. She's been to the opening of the Black Smithsonian. She's been displayed in Art in Odd Places Festival, and that particular theme was about race. And so that particular festival, I debuted my revised version of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to this flag that represents the unspoken but not forgotten true story of this here United States of America. And to the republic that has forgotten why it even stands, I'm here to remind you.
I'm here to remind you
that we are one nation under your God and my God.
And my God.
With our lives, and our stories, so intertwined. How can we not be indivisible?
How can we not be indivisible?
All we want, what we deserve, what we demand.
What we demand
is liberty, and justice. For all. She has gone beyond gallery walls and museum walls. And you know, some people will say, you know, your art needs to stay indoors. It needs to be protected. It needs to like not be touched. So like here you'll see that the braid has detached from the chicken wire. That's a testament to where she's been and what she's experienced. And it also amplifies how slavery and the cousins of that institution, how they impact our humanity, right? Things become undone, things become unraveled, but that doesn't mean she's still not whole. And it's hard to live under these conditions, but we still find joy, we still find hope, we still find resilience, and we still are intact. And so I think her in this iteration speaks to all of those things while still talking about the history of this country.